Hi, this is Billy Starks, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
This is Little Mean Kathleen, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, Pyromaniacs. This is the unbreakable Sean Phoenix, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey guys, it's the immaculate threat, Nevaeh Chantel, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, this is Gabriel Fuerza, and you're listening to Wrestling with Entertainment.
Hey, folks, this is the Colossal Mike Law, and you are listening to Wrestling with Entertainment. Enjoy the show. Support these guys. We appreciate it very much. We'll see you at ringside.
Hello, and welcome to the show. It's Wrestling with Entertainment, bringing you the latest exclusive breaking news, previewing and reviewing the latest shows from WWE, AEW, New Japan, and everything in between every Saturday, and interviewing all the hot and up-and-coming talent on Wednesdays on YouTube and Castbox. I am, of course, your host, James J., alongside Kaliko Yachts.
Only 1,091 days until my actual birthday, February 29th. Shout out to the leap year babies.
And Scooter Dust.
But what is grief if not love persevering?
And it's a great day for wrestling, because we are wrestling with the Colossal Mike Law. How are you, Mike?
I'm doing great, man. That by the way, awesome intro. I may have to hire you as my announcer.
Awesome.
I like the bass. I like the bass in your voice when you colossal Mike Law.
I kind of had like a Vince McMahon thing going down for a second. Colossal.
It's really funny that you say that, because James is actually the my better half on my podcast, The Remix, where we do live streaming commentary for pro wrestling events, pay-per-views, WWE and whatnot. So when you compliment him, you're complimenting me and my choice to bring him on. And
there you go.
Proud of him, and I'm proud to be part of this.
What's coming up for Mike Law in the future?
I mean, it's a lot. I don't like to really spoil the surprises because, like anything else, things are subject to change. But I will say to keep your eye on my, social media platforms, whether it's, at Colossal Mike Law on Twitter and Instagram, it's the same across the board, or Facebook if we're friends. If not, follow my page, Colossal Mike Law. I just make it as clear and simple as everybody as I can, as far as the following and all the stuff updated on the website and the social media. But some cool stuff coming up with New Fear City, their new company running out of New York in the next few months. Obviously returning back to ECWA, one of my home companies, in April. I'll be facing Mr. Ooh La La. This month, between that, Catalyst Wrestling, a few different organizations. I'm just really right now just sitting back and training, watching a lot of wrestling, learning, just kind of studying stuff and letting my body heal, you do this often enough and it's going to wear and tear on you.
When you say watching and learning from old videotapes, have you seen the guy that wrestled The Rock? Not Dwayne Johnson, an actual Rock.
The guy who wrestled a Rock?
Yes.
Is this legit?
Yes, 100%.
A guy who wrestled a Rock?
Yeah, for 15
Psycho
minutes.
Mike. I'm Psycho Mike from Canada?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no, I did an Impact. I did an Impact trial with him. Impact Pro Wrestling Noah. I have not seen him or seen it, but something tells me that after this podcast, I'll be YouTubing that.
For context, it's the closing moments of what is a 2-week-long Iron Man match.
It sounds like something he would do.
So once again, your social media and your pro wrestling tees will all be in the description of the video, both on YouTube and Castbox as well, for anybody that wants to follow you or buy a T-shirt.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, it's really one of the main things that helps a lot of us in the independents, like, you know, live and do, you know, and just be able to do this thing. You know, like you put your bodies on the line, we all do, and you know, merchandise is a big part of where we make our money. And because there are no live shows, it's been hard. You know, it's been a lot of tapings, very minimal, you know, live crowds at all, if any at all. And you know, yeah, I have my storefrontier.com. Just go and type in Colossal Mike Law, and you get everything from hoodies to tank tops to t-shirts, long sleeve shirts. You have all these different great designs, including the Mr. Sparkles one. I don't know if it shows up on camera or if we're going to record that.
It is not. We are audio only.
Oh, well, I wear for my merchandise for no reason. What?
Mr. Sparkles!
See, we need to screenshot it at least. Screenshot my man with the shirt, man.
Yeah.
I will screenshot it.
There you
There
go.
we
There
go.
you go.
See,
That's me, and that's my barbell, who's also on social media, and that's Colossal Mike Law, and it's my ode to the Simpsons, my favorite Simpsons episode, the Mr. Sparkles one. But yeah, thank you guys for having me again.
Oh, absolutely. And you don't even have to type it in. The link will be in the description of the video below.
You guys are awesome. Thank you.
And you mentioned it prior. You work a lot with ECWA. You did a couple shots for Limitless Wrestling, who we were very accustomed to here. Could you maybe tell us your relationship with those companies?
You know, I enjoy. To me, I always have to feel that that any company I wrestle for, whether it's Catalyst Wrestling, whether it's ECWA, whether it's Limitless, good mention on that. Great people out there in Maine, always producing some quality, you know, content and individuals. I have even New for City coming out soon. You know, with these companies, I always have to feel like I'm lending some sort of value to them, and I just don't want to be one of those guys who comes in and collects a paycheck, or, you know, collects money and, you know, in and out. You know, I want to work hard for what you know, to make sure that the fans are entertained and that they're, you know, they're seeing the best part of me, and that's just me going in there and giving it my all. So my relationship with them has always been good. I don't think, you know, I can't really count on one hand how many bridges I've burned. I don't try to burn in. Do they happen? Yeah. I mean, you do this long enough, and someone's bound to get pissed off at you for whatever reason, you know. So I just try to keep it professional and you know, keep it moving. You know.
All right. Scooter, you have a question?
All right. So, being both New Yorkers, you're from Ozone Park. Going back to your training, one of your trainers is somebody who is very infamous on the indie scene for his, well, someone call him a modern day Abdullah Sabu. Of course, I'm talking about Louis Ramos, otherwise known as Lowlife Louis Ramos. I know you credit Lathon as primarily the trainer you learned the most from. If that's good to say. What was it like training under Louis, who wrestles that deathmatch style?
Lowlife Louis is he's a much better wrestler than people know or give him credit for. And even sometimes I have to like think, I go, why is this guy? I get why he does what he does. You know what I mean? Like a guy like Louis, who's, I mean, I look at the stuff like the barbed wire dildo and stuff like that. I'm like, God damn, you know, like that's some like that to me is just like that stuff was being done in like the middle, you know, mid 2000s, early 2000s, and crazy enough, it's still being done today, you know. And with Louis, training with him, I always felt safe. You know what I mean? Back when I started in the early 2000s, man, you got tested a lot. Meaning, you got in there with certain people who, you're either gonna earn their respect or you're gonna, kind of tuck your tails between your legs and get punked out. Like it was a different way of weeding people out than it is today. Whether it's good or bad, I don't know. Like that's for me to judge. All I'm saying is that Louis is one of the dudes that I trusted when I trained with, because I knew that he could have hurt me if he wanted to. Like at that time I was green and I was $120. I wouldn't be able to do anything to him at that point anyway. But he always took care of me. And in a locker room sometimes that was filled with like wolves, he was always like an easy person to talk to. You know what I mean? Like you didn't have that a lot in that era coming up.
I saw Louis wrestle Abdullah the Butcher in 2003 for ICW at the Elks Lodge. Company doesn't exist anymore, ran by Jack Sabbath, and it was a spectacle, to say the least. But when you say you earn the respect, somebody that comes to mind, two people that come to mind, the Hit Squad.
Oh shit! Yeah.
Dan Maff and Monster Mac. Would those be two who would fit that description?
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. I think with those guys, like, you need guys like that these days, too, because you need guys like that. And here's the thing, like, they're a lot more tame now. And I'm not saying this in a negative way. Like, those guys are still beasts, but they're a lot more tame. Yeah, they've mellowed down in terms of, like, how badly you were going to get destroyed in the ring. But there were times, I swear to you, man, I would see that lineup sheet at the Doghouse in Queens, and I would see dudes walk out, man. No lie. I would see younger guys see the run sheet, and they would look at it and go, "Nope, not tonight." And you would never hear from them again because, those guys all had a reputation, with the homicides, the low keys, Hit Squad. Even Lathan, I believe Lathan was one of my primary trainers, but even I knew he could be a bully in there if he had to. Not. If you ever looked at Lathan, the dude was 6'6", and he was like 400 pounds, and he could have literally like killed certain dudes. He didn't do that, and he certainly didn't do that to me, but he definitely tested you. And the Hit Squad were no different. Moff and Mac were they were legendary for, being stiff, and, it has carried over. But again, they're a little bit more mellow about it. Sometimes, although Moff sometimes, bro, I don't know, Moff, you test that dude. I don't know. Moff is a different animal sometimes when he's tested, which I appreciate.
Moral to the story: don't test them.
Yeah, always be respectful. Like I've always been one of those people where, I've been around, long enough, and I'm very cool and calm and everything. I'm not one of those people to really lose my cool quick. But I also know when I'm being disrespected in the ring or outside of it, and I don't, I'll be the first one to say like, all right, like if that's what's gonna be, then just be prepared to throw down when it comes time to go in there. And it's never anything to like kill anybody. I have a very good track record, but you're certainly going to feel it when we're in the ring together. I'll say that.
Is there maybe a story there that you're maybe not telling us that we would maybe like to hear?
No. I mean, I will say this. There are times where I think it's not so much like anyone being downright disrespectful. I think everyone handles themselves pretty well these days. But I will say that, you have certain differences in like how things are supposed to be done business wise. And, I always handle that shit backstage, I'm not, it's very rare that I would ever I've never taken liberties with anybody, but I also feel that you know, if somebody's gonna come at me a certain way, I'm gonna defend myself. Like that's just the way we were brought up.
Yeah, and then it's also to the point where now maybe you're encountering some talent who are a little bit resentful that they haven't broken out or haven't gotten the big break they believe they're entitled to, making them all that more rougher. And I have a certain experience, a similar story where Stockade, and I've told the story 1,000 times. We worked a training match, and he told me he was gonna tombstone me. And by this point, Stockade hated me. I knew it. He spread rumors about me. Um, really terrible, terrible rumors. He wanted me to take a tombstone, and I'm really lucky because nobody told me to tuck my head.
Wow.
And I almost ended up with a broken neck, and that kind of disillusioned me a bit from getting back in the ring. Some other issues would prevent me from getting back in the ring, resuming training, which is why I stuck to ring announcing. But yeah, it's a very very interesting comparison between an independent talent from 18 some odd years ago to now, to see that evolution of how their style has changed and adapted.
Yeah, I mean, there's no reason at this point. As something I always tell everybody, man, like, we're all international if you think about it. Like, this podcast and, you know, whether it's going to be seen on YouTube or heard on SoundCloud or anything like that, like I've had people purchase my wrestling gear from, like, Germany, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. What they do with it, I don't know. But I'm just saying, like I've had people purchase merchandise and my wrestling gear from other parts of the country, outside of the country, and I've only wrestled in the Dominican Republic and in Canada. That's my only. I was supposed to go to Mexico, unfortunately, before the pandemic, but other than that, like, that's my only international experience so far. But the fact that people are purchasing merchandise or purchasing, you know, gear that I no longer use, you know, like, and from different countries, that's always been an interesting aspect. And that's one thing I don't ever get, like, being bitter about, like, dude, we all knew what we're getting ourselves into, you know, like, you, like this, especially now, you have more opportunity to make a name for yourself than you ever have. Maybe not so much in the early 2000s and the 90s. You know, you had to send your VHS tape. If you people know what that means out there, because it's a fucking VHS tape. I can't even pronounce
Them
it.
blockbuster tapes. I know exactly.
Oh my god.
Betamax.
Yeah, so that's how you got it. Betamax. Oh my god. Okay, so I'm all right. So I don't feel so old.
VHS. Kaliko and I are the 36. I'm 36.
Nice.
Kaliko's 34-ish.
7. There you go.
Oh, he's older than me now. Okay, all right.
I mean, 37. But if you really want to go, still be the oldest, I'm a leap year baby. So technically, I'm 9. I'll let you have it, bro.
I would go with that story. That works.
And Kaliko, do you have a question?
Yeah, because actually, I wanted to tie it into your. First of all, I want to thank you for coming. I truly appreciate it. And tying into what you were just saying, I feel like it's like you have a loyalty and an endurance that most don't have, and I just want you to elaborate on that, like the endurance part, because you being in the game for so long and pretty much making your own way.
Yeah,
like you don't, you know, people can get frustrated, and I know you've had your issue. You know, you had a point where you gave up in the game, but I just want you to expand on that, because I feel like you're in a sense, you show more loyalty to the business than anyone that I've seen, and I mean that in the most sincere way. It's like you're like the modern day Frank Sinatra. I was just talking to the guys, like you're kind of like the independent Jericho. You've been everywhere. You've done it all, and just elaborate on the endurance part and the differences of the loyalty to the business from 2000s to now.
No, great question, man. I appreciate it. Appreciate the compliment as well. Certainly appreciate Chris Jericho, who is one of the people I kind of model myself after in terms of the mentality when it comes to switching things up, but also like in-ring stuff. So I'm a huge Jericho fan, along with Dean Malenko and Eddie Guerrero. I think it's because I there was a time, and I'll agree with you, man, where I was frustrated because I would see certain people get opportunities, and I'm like, well, I'm out here working my ass off, man. I'm not gonna make any bones about it. I'm out here doing what I got to do, promoting what I have to do, just being like a good soldier, right? And like I would see dudes break the rules, like not like a lot of like nonsensical bullshit, but that's just not going to even worth getting into. But I would look at that and go, all right, well, what's going on here, man? Like I've been trained to do this, to talk like this, to just be a workhorse, and then it's just nothing's coming along. But then I had to realize, according, my younger brother, who's an official, a referee, like, yeah, man, you gotta put this, like, you gotta put yourself out there. You gotta do the vignettes. You gotta do promos. You gotta put the marketing. You gotta make the T-shirts. You have to kind of be your own business, and that's what you are, bro. You're your own business, and I had a lot of stop and starts, like with wrestling. I started in training '98. My first pro match was in 2001. I would wrestle in Pittsburgh, West Virginia, Ohio a lot, places like that. I stopped wrestling in 2011. Started promoting for this company called FWE. That was awesome. I learned, dude. I got to, you talk about like sharing locker rooms or being in locker rooms with guys like, whether it's Carlito or Tommy Dreamer or the Young Bucks, Chris Masters, like a who's who of people passed through that locker room, and I got to interact and work with them, do conventions. That was cool, being able to be a promoter and booking and helping book that company was a very cool part of my career, and it was a big learning part. Once they went out of business in 2015, I kind of felt like, well, what do I do now? I still have a lot of love for the wrestling business, and I just started to take more bookings as a wrestler again. And here we are now, 2021. And I think a lot of it is my mentality that no matter what happens, whether I go to New Japan, WWE, NXT, AEW, Impact, wherever, Impact, NWA, it's all on me. You know what I'm saying? Like, at the end of the day, I'm just going to put as much good content and product out there as I can. And if nothing happens, it wasn't going to be because I didn't do my part. You know what I'm saying? Too many people expect a fucking handout today. And I don't get that. I don't expect anyone to hand me anything. Like, that's just the way I was raised and born into the business. You earned everything. So that's just my mentality, man. I'm going to give you my absolute best. And if things don't fall into place, I'll at least leave something for people to be like, oh, all right, this fucking guy was good. He was entertaining, Like, I can dig his style. I can dig his deal with the huge-ass barbell, which needs repairs. If any of you guys know anyone who can repair a huge-ass barbell, give me a ring after this. I destroyed the fucking thing.
That's a great answer. I just wanted to follow because I feel like when you did have that break, do you feel that it gave you a certain perspective outside the business that that you couldn't get if you had just kept plowing through? Because sometimes when you look at it from a tunnel vision, you just see this one thing, but once you step outside, you're like, oh, you see this, you see the pieces, like you see the field a lot better. Yeah.
I'll say this, I like merchandise wise, man, like, and I said this in another podcast, I learned a lot from Sanjay Dutt, Young Bucks, and Colt Cabana, because they always had like tons of merch, man. And I would see them walk in with their boxes of merch, and I mean, they were just making, fist over dollar, like just making all this money, like on top of their booking. And that just said to, kind of something I learned as far as being a wrestler these days is that you have to make your own opportunities and you have to make your money in different ways. It's no longer, like the 80s, where people in the indies were making a pretty good amount of money. I mean, obviously, there are people who made shit money, who made nothing, like that's always been the case. But then there's, learning that helped put that into perspective as far as being a wrestler. I was stupid. I'll say it. I was stupid because I should never have taken myself off those FW shows. I should have worked my ass off, been a part of those shows as a in-ring competitor. I did I think 3 shows in 2011. Then had a match that was the utter shits. It was myself and this guy Hawaii Allen versus Deranged and this guy Boris Naboka. And the match was abysmal. In fact, it was so bad that it's literally you can't see it anywhere. They took it off every platform. They took it off of every YouTube. Like it's not, you won't ever, unless somebody pirated, which I don't know why you do such a thing. You'll never see that match anywhere. Thank goodness. It was pretty terrible. And after that, I was like, fuck it. I'm just gonna stick to promoting. I'm gonna help people out and hopefully push people to the next level. The problem with that is, like anything else, you have a bunch of ungrateful people sometimes. And I'm not talking about the people that were already going to be a big deal anywhere. I'm talking about certain people that were people that I was pushing for that, just either never made anything out of the opportunity or just weren't ever really grateful for the opportunity to begin with.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Now you mentioned being a promoter of football that time, and now obviously you're kind of back in the ring, being the wrestler. Is being a promoter something you would like to pursue maybe after an in-ring career, or maybe during, or do you have any desires of doing that again?
No, good question, James. I would never put it out of the realm of possibility. I did promote a few shows after FW went out of business in 2015. One, which I took a fucking beating. Like, I'm talking about, like, huge, like, setback. And it's just something that was out of my control at the time. The fire marshal showed up. They shut the thing down, and I had to reschedule and relocate the building, like, the week of the show. I remember getting the call. I was in my office. I was getting a call from the building that we were supposed to run the show in that Monday. And they go, you got to get down here right now. The marshal showed up with the flyer because we went out there to promote and what do you call it? A form saying that they were shutting the show down. And that if I did run the show, I remember the lady from the board, the chair. I guess she was chairman, but she was she was part of the committee for the town. And I remember telling her, she goes, you're not going to run this show. And I go, well, we have to. She goes, you can reschedule it, and then when we meet, you can fill out for a permit because it was just all they wanted was to get their hands greased, short and simple. They wanted to get their hands greased. I wasn't going to do it. I said we must run this show. She goes, and I kid you not, she goes, you run this show on Saturday. We will have the police there. We're going to shut the show down. We're going to have you arrested. And I, so help me God, I've never had so much angst in my life. Like, the way she said it, I was powerless. Like, I had nothing. Like, I had nothing on my sleeve to be like, if you do this, then, I'll do that. I didn't realize that they were under their own regulations. It was they're separate. They're incorporated. They're like a village, incorporated village. They had a whole bunch of bullshit that I couldn't deal with. But
that was your ultimate fuck the police moment,
bro. And it wasn't even the police. Like, I have family. Like, that was just like some government, like local government, greased up people's hands bullshit. That really was unnecessary. Like I said, listen, New York State, you're saying that pro wrestling's a performance, and this is the bullshit of it all when it comes to political stuff, right? They say it's a performance. I needed a performance. I needed something in writing from them saying that they were approving this performance art or whatever, because they consider professional wrestling a performance. So I go, okay, well, how come the New York State Athletic Commission considers us they consider pro wrestling a sport alongside boxing and MMA, because we're governed by the state of New York under the New York State Athletic Commission.
Right.
So which one is it? And she couldn't answer me that. Like, it was frustrating because that was the only thing I had, was like, okay, well, the state of New York says that we're an athletic contest because the New York State Athletic Commission is, commissions over the pro wrestling industry in New York. It's a cash grab. We all know that. But then when she's like, well, we here in this incorporated village consider this a performance, and you don't have a performance permit. I go, you gotta be fucking kidding me. This is ridiculous. I couldn't believe it. I was like, whatever, man.
Is it
And I lost a lot.
Is it because there was a barbed wire dildo match on the card?
There will be no barbed wire dildo match. Listen. I love Louis, man. I hope he knows that. I know we haven't really seen or contact each other for a long time, but he's a guy that I kind of like. I don't even know, like, he has his niche audience of people who want to see him do that. But I would love for people to see the kind of wrestler he could be when he just wrestles. I get it why he does what he does. That's his niche. That's what he does. I respect it. But as far as running a company, absolutely. I would never say never. I enjoyed doing it. I enjoyed getting sponsors on board. I enjoyed budgeting stuff. It's all that shit is like, I love the idea of helping people elevate themselves, like taking somebody who isn't very who's kind of green and help building them up into something reputable. Those are like little cool things that I like to do.
Now, tell us about wrestling in the pandemic era of pro wrestling, and maybe how you approach a match differently, knowing there's no crowd.
Man, and people will agree and disagree with this. Wrestling is one of the things you need a crowd for, man. We feed off the emotion that and listen, obviously we've all done these tapings and we've done these type of matches with no fans. I think that the wrestling business it's all about emotion, right? Like, I know everyone says, oh, it's about the moves and all these crazy. Yes, I get it. It stylistically has changed, but I think the meat and potatoes of what we do is getting people to kind of forgo their belief, to kind of be like, yo, what is this legit? What's going on here? Like that gray area, you know what I mean? Like, people don't know whether something's supposed to happen or not. And we feed off the crowd, for me, it was tough. I don't want to sound weird, but it was tough, not impossible, to get up for these kind of things, like these tapings. But, once you warm up and you're in there for a few minutes, you slap yourself in the face, like, all right, let's fucking do this. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna now it's like, I'm not slowing down. I'm speeding up now. And I'm gonna, go full throttle. But I think for me personally, what sucked the most is not having merch sales, man.
Yeah.
That's our side income. You know what I mean? I don't make any bones about it. That's how I've helped make some decent money on my end, and it's the support of the fans like that. Like, people are, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't have I'm not an internet darling, which is perfectly fine. A lot of people buy my merch for me directly, meaning they'll see me at a show at a merch table and they'll buy 2-3 shirts, they'll buy fanny packs or whatever else, Whereas now it's I have to rely on online sales, and that's it. It's like night and day.
It's a bit of a learning curve.
Yeah. I mean, as far as wrestling, I feed off the crowd a lot. Some people don't. They know how to go from maneuver to maneuver, and then it's they don't really see a crowd out there sometimes.
Yeah.
That might be normal for them, but for me, I love the idea of the fans interacting with them and making them, taking them on that roller coaster ride.
Scooter, you have a question?
Now, as we said before we started, I myself am a student of the NYWC. Mikey Whipwreck, Shane, and John Curse. I'm gonna run off a list of names because I've noticed something very interesting in terms of your career on Long Island. You faced Nikki Adams, who I literally started with my first day. It was me, my fiance, and Nikki as the three students the NYWC first got when they started taking students again when they brought Pat Buck in 2010 and whatnot. But Nikki Adams, Manny Martinez, Jack Gallo, Ryan Galeone, Blake Morris, Rex Lawless, Azriel. By the way, I did find the match with you in Hawaii.
Please don't listen. Report it to whoever you have to report it, sir.
You getting blackmailed on the show, man.
I feel like dude. I had no control over that fucking thing. It's not my fault. I am washing my hands off of that one.
The interesting thing I've noticed is that you worked for almost every company that's existed in Long Island: VPW, FTW, at FWE, as you mentioned.
Yeah.
And you've wrestled in the NYWC Sportatorium, but you've never officially, as far as I could research, been a part of an NYWC card. Is there a specific reason for that?
I think in the early, like in 2010, stuff like that, there was a distinct, when you were coming in, and you may have seen this, there was like a distinct thing about NYWC not using talents that weren't part of the school, which I totally respect. I know House of Glory kind of has like that kind of mentality, and I think it worked for them. You know what I mean? And it's funny because from the outside looking in, I always heard things about NYWC. Look, they'll get it twisted. Like at this point, I'm really cool with Shane, and I've always been cool with Curse. NYWC was a offshoot of Critical Mass Wrestling, which started out years ago. They were a group of guys from LIWF Doghouse that just wanted to do their own thing.
Brimstone.
With Brimstone and Chris Hostile and Mike Mayhem. Mike Mayhem was also trained by one of the guys who originally trained me as well. Not Lathan, this guy Carl Morales. Anyway, so they had this kind of thing, like they were very segmented. They did their own thing. They didn't really work with anyone outside of the NYWC school. And that was like a VP. I helped start VPW. That was one of the things that people aren't well aware of, is that myself, Donnie Bon Jovi, and my buddy Richie Tyler, we helped start that place. We helped start VPW. I would help promote and everything, and we finally, started running shows to help the students out to get in front of. Well, they were family and friends, but just to get in front of people and wrestle in front of people and get comfortable with that. I think that didn't look good. I remember there was like times where NYWC would be running 10 minutes away from Deer Park Community Center, and then VPW would be running at the community center once that was, done. And then FTW was running they were all running literally the same night, the same hours, 10 minutes apart. And they were all doing well. I'd love to see Long Island get back to it in terms of the indies, the way it was in terms of the crowds. It hasn't been like that in a long time. And, it's unfortunate. The scene kind of died out here, but I see NYWC still doing some stuff, so that's cool. DPW is under new owners, which is after the previous debacle, the middle owner, who was almost completely clueless. I'm sorry. It's good to see that someone with a good head has taken over that. There's room to grow, but as far as NYWC, man, I'm cool with Shane. I'm cool with them. I've wrestled in the fabled, Sportatorium. Never
That's
for NYWC directly. It's all good. I never, it's never been a personal thing. I've also learned to realize that I'm not everyone's, cup
Cup
of
of
tea,
tea.
man. I'm not gonna sit here and be like, do I think I'm fucking good? Yeah, I'm fucking good, dude. I'm fucking great. I work my ass off, and you know what, man? If you hire me, you'll get like everything from like social media to like promos to interviews to vignettes, to the actual in-ring stuff. I always conduct myself in a professional manner. I pride myself on that. But if a company doesn't want me for whatever reason, I've learned to like be like, you know what, man, it's not a match. And I think going back to a previous question, that's another thing. A lot of people in wrestling today can't really take rejection very well, which it sucks. Don't get me wrong. Like it sucks when you send a message to somebody and you could tell they read it and they're like, oh, well, not even a no. like God, you know what I'm saying? Like I try to always get back to people when I was promoting when I could. I was always, or at least we had somebody. If it wasn't me, it was going to be one of the other guys. But I understand, what I mean? Like everyone's busy, and I understand that, you can't possibly reply to every single message. It becomes overbearing after a while, and you've got to be persistent, I guess.
And just a follow up on that, you were part of something with another former NYWC student / talent who I can't remember if he came in when I started, Chris Ruiz, and you were part of something called the Wrestler's Laboratory, and along with Ryan Gallione, Ryan Rush as I know him, along with a number of other talent. You said you were kind of promoting at the time. This is around 2016. How did the idea for the Wrestler's Laboratory come about, and did you have a hand in bringing it together like you did VPW along with Chris Ruiz?
I will say it was Mike Sweeney and Chris Ruiz. I was just scheduled for their first event. I mean, listen, I'll always give people my suggestions, and I'll always, if you ask me, I'm always going to be open to telling, hey, you can do this. This is what you should do. This is just my suggestion for someone who's, I'm not saying I made millions. I've certainly lost money, but I've made some money in wrestling, and I'm happy about that. And those guys, like whether people are going to actually do what I tell them or suggest, that's on them, man. I'm not going to force anyone to do anything that they're not either comfortable with or they don't want to do to begin with, And
Right.
With Wrestler's Lab, I wrestled Ryan Gallione and Steve Scott. Steve Scott had to get every move he knows in there. Steve Scott is a great dude, and I'm so happy he's back. He looks amazing. Ryan Gallione, we always argue about this when we see each other. Mm-hmm. Ryan Gallione, is a powerful motherfucker. Like that dude is so strong. And
on that.
He went for a gut wrench powerbomb, and either the debate between him and I is that I try to block him from doing it, and he said that my arm got stuck between his legs. But dude, he literally like jackknifed me in one of the. It looked brutal. The powerbomb looked like death, and it was the finish. And how could it not be? It was like, it was devastating. But I always say it was me trying to block him. He's saying that my arm got stuck between his legs when he went for the gut wrench power bomb. But either way, he got what he wanted. So there you go. Yeah. But Wrestler's Lab was, I won't take any credit for any of it because it was. My brother and I would always suggest ideas in terms of, here's what you should do to promote. Here's what you can do to get a crowd. Here's what you do to get sponsors. Have meetings. I'm a big proponent of promoters getting the whole crew before the show and be like, all right, this is what we're doing. This is what we need. This is the breakdown of the matches. These are the times. This is what we, all this stuff, is important to communicate with your roster. And and I've done it for other people who've asked. I don't ever try to throw my 2 cents in unless someone's asked. And whether they choose to do it or not, unfortunately, what's the saying about leading a camel to water?
You could lead a horse to water.
There you go.
Make a drink. You could lead a
Can't
horse
make that motherfucker drink it.
There you go. I mean, it's a camel or horse depending on who you ask.
You could lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. You could lead a horticulture, but you can't make her think.
Listen, I am 30. I'm 38 years old. I have never heard that one.
I know what the.
That's an old Friars Club joke. But speaking on Ryan Gallione, tough son of a bitch. I love the guy. Little short story. We went up to a show in Camp Tioga in Binghamton. It was me, Ryan, and Alex Reynolds in the back.
Okay.
And now I'm tiny. I am tiny. I'm 5'4". And I'm the ring announcer. And at the time, I had the hugest car, and Ryan still had to sit with his head between his legs. But sweetest guy, him and his father, great people.
No, Ryan's good people, man. Very insanely athletic. Almost shocking you don't see him as often as you should. He's a very talented guy.
Kaliko, you had a question?
Yeah, actually, I had a quick question. It dealt with in part of being in the promotion and being in the business. And the one thing that most independent scenes, it kind of gets tribal. And the one thing that I noticed that you said was missing was rivalries in the business, in the independent business.
Right.
It made me think, have you ever had a rivalry? Because me being from Memphis, I'm used to a lot of Texas, Memphis, Tennessee rivalries because the promotions pretty much kind of interlock with each other. So they could kind of piecemeal each person in and out and have them come back, go and come back as they please, but they pick up where they left off. Do you feel like that's a lost art in the business? And who is your biggest rival?
I completely agree, to be honest with you, Kaliko. I think it's one of those things where, and it's tough because when you have in independence, you never know who's going to get injured, who's going to get signed, who's going to have a fallout with the promoter for whatever reason. And so I get why promoters don't invest in the idea of doing long-term storylines and feuds because so much stuff happens, injuries, like we spoke about.
Right.
I would say for me, Joey Ace comes to mind. I know everyone here's probably seen the infamous suicide dive at the ECWA event that landed through a chair. That was good times. I don't know what's a bigger feud, me against Joey or me against that chair. We ended up. I would say that's a good example. You know what I mean of two people who just you don't know. I still like the fact that people debate it and still don't know, and I'll never tell whether that was supposed to happen or not. So good on you. I'll never let anyone know unless it just doesn't. There's no reason we keep that gray area for that purpose. I'd say Joey Ace had a little good thing with Darius Carter before the plug was pulled on that. It's just I don't get it sometimes. I don't. I think if you have your mainstays, I always preach to promoters, have your mainstays, right? That's your 10 to 12 talents, male or female, that you're going to build the company around. And then from there, you have your good 8 to 10 talents that you bring in once in a while. They're steady talent, great workers, guys who can, you can bring in and people are going to be oh, I love watching that guy. And then you bring one or two names. You know what I mean? That's how you build the organization. But there's just so much we're going to do this feud. And then in a month in, it's just I don't know. I don't know if it's ADHD that people have these days, a lack of attention that people have to feuds. But I think it's missing. I think a lot of storylines are missing. I think the more you concentrate on storylines as opposed to like, oh, these dream matches, which after a while they're not dream matches. They're just putting good wrestler A versus good wrestler B.
Right.
A dream match, even back when it was supposed to be, was like the build of two fucking like crazy talented wrestlers or monsters or killers, and you eventually put them in there against each other to see who's the better wrestler, right? That was like the idea behind that. But then nowadays it's like there's not a focus on that. Like I tell people it's like a comic book. I was invested in Marvel and in X-Men because, and especially Wolverine, because by the third or fourth comic, I was already invested into this persona, and then I would purchase the next month to see what was going to happen. You know what I mean? And that's kind of the idea you should have with storylines and with building wrestling now is like, all right, give the people a reason to come back. Like, leave them on a cliffhanger. You don't have to, for lack of a better term, blow your load on one show. I really feel some people don't think they're going to make it to a second show. Maybe that's what it is.
With that, like 1,010%. Because I feel like part of it is because of the social media, because everything is in 15 seconds and delayed in instant gratification, if you want, like instant oatmeal. So I feel you on that part. But I also feel like when it comes to dream matches, I feel like the why is missing. Like the one thing you could say, for better or for worse, with the USWA, did they have the best talent, that eventually blew up? No, but the stories and the why is what got people invested into watching that next Saturday. And I feel like that in the indie scene, it does, like you said, it does get those dream matches, but why are they having that match? What's the reason for it? There's a reason that it has to go to fisticuffs, other than the fact that it's good wrestler A or good wrestler B.
I couldn't agree with you more, man. you nailed it as good as I would have.
Now, you were World 1 champion for 1 day. Is that correct?
We're going to bring that up? Man, this better not end this whole thing. We've got to end on a high note.
Oh, no, absolutely.
Way more to go.
So what happened with that was, so World 1 was purchased by ECWA. So ECWA was owned by this guy named Mike Tartaglia. He did a terrible job. So this guy, I guess like 2 or 3 other guys bought ECWA from him, and then they were the original owners of World 1, so they bought World 1. So they were all just going to be commingled. So rather than be 2 separate promotions, they decided to have a unification match, and I won I won the World 1 title earlier in the night, and then Joey Ace and I, originally was for the ECWA title itself. They made it a unification match, so that way it was now all going to be under ECWA. It's not going to be World 1, and it's just going to be one company. And the aforementioned suicide dive, which I always came close to to the actual suicide part. I'll say this, like, and looking back at that match and everything, I go, that's what it was all for. You know what I mean? Like, I knew that this was going to be something that people were going to talk about. Not only just that, but just the match, because I knew it was like history making. World 1, the champions that have held the World 1 title, guys like Masato Tanaka, Steve Corino, just an example of some of the names that held that thing. It had a good lineage to it. You know what I mean? There were Ricky Reyes, I believe, as well. So I was like, okay, I'm in the same lineage as those guys, so I have to like really represent and really go out. Plus, there was the ECWA title, which has like 40 years of title lineage that I need to be a part of again because I had it before. So it was all in my mind. I was like, this is an important match for myself, for this company. We were doing our second show on IWTV, which is a huge platform. So I knew that had to be, that I couldn't just like not that I ever mail it or call it in, but I knew I had to like step up my game. I lost, by the way. If anyone, if anyone's interested, I'm just gonna throw it. You can go on cagematch.com and see, but or go online at this point, I guess. And yeah, I was not victorious that night.
I was just gonna say because you don't see like when somebody wins a championship on the independents like it's for like one day. It's usually that's commonplace in WWE or AEW, but not necessarily independents. So that's where my curiosity came from.
No, of course. I mean, again, another rare example of something that's not an everyday occurrence, and I think that's what really stuck out about this whole situation. It just literally like I get the call at I don't remember what time it was, like 2 o'clock in the afternoon before I even arrived to the venue, and they're like, "Hey, we had to switch some plans up. You're going to be wrestling for the World One title tonight. We're gonna try to unify this thing, make it one company." And I'm like, cool. I'm really very easy to work with, despite if anyone ever had to debate that. And I was like, yeah, let's go, man. I'm game. Let's get this going. And I wouldn't have done it I wouldn't have put the World One title on the line for me personally that night. I would have taken it and done something more with it, and then if they needed to have a title defended, I would have done it. But I get where they were coming from. They were they were stuck in a hard place, so I did what I had to do.
Now, your uncle was a referee for pro wrestling. I believe you mentioned that before. People might not know how important the third man in the ring actually is. Could you kind of tell us what you learned from your uncle and how to maybe what he taught you going into your wrestling career?
And this is no offense to him, but I learned absolutely nothing from him. I did learn not to I will say he probably mouthed off to the wrong person, and he got lit up by one of the wrestlers. They were doing a show in Brooklyn, and it was this was back in the mid '80s, yeah, I would say. And he was just being official because he was always a fanatic. And this wrestler just decided to take a Heineken bottle and crack him over the head. Didn't tell him he was going to do it. Just, I think they probably had some words in the back, and it's one of those things where you're probably not going to see that these days. Like stuff like that probably won't fly. But he he probably had a little bit of a situation backstage. They got out there, and the heel, I guess, decided he was going to crack open a Heineken bottle on my uncle's head.
Damn.
Yeah. So, and that was it for him. He was always a fan. He's still a fan to this day, but he never got involved with the wrestling business. He introduced me to the promoter who was promoting Pedro Rodriguez, where I eventually started to train in Bed-Stuy, Brooklyn. That was years later.
Scooter, you have a question?
Yeah, there's something very prominent on your social media that involves a certain wrestling lawyer by the name of Smart Mark Sterling. Can you explain what this lawsuit is and how it went viral and what was the overall idea you had to benefit from it?
Well, that video had gone viral the night that it happened, and and so you got a little bit of a lot of people got very colorful with their comments as far as not really me, but like Joey Ace, and as much as Joey and I don't get along these days, and whatever, people won't ever know the full story, and I'm cool with that. But regardless, I think that when that video went viral, which I kind of had an idea was, in my head, I was like, all right, this is probably going to go viral. And, 2020 was a bust for a lot of us. So I said, you know what? This is my last shot to really do something big. And I knew, like I had said before, like this is for the World 1 title, the ECWA title. I saw the lineage. I knew this was going to be on IWTV, so I knew it was going to get a lot of views. So that in itself was enough of a reason for me, like, okay, I know when I take calculated risks, like I tell people. But going back to Sterling, you know, it was one of those things where, so it seemed like going through the chair, I was like, that's not supposed to happen. You know what I mean? That just does not happen. And I was like, you know, like, I was seriously just looking at a commercial on TV, and it was the silliest thing. I go, okay, like, you can sue for anything these days. And I was like, I go, you can. And it was like, this commercial was almost offensive if I was the type to get offended easily. Like, it was this guy just falling off a ladder, and it was just so hokey. I go, can I really sue? Like, I wonder if I could get away with that for, like, emotional duress. So I contacted Mark, and I go, hey, Mark, like, you know, what's the deal? Like, do you think that we can kind of get something off of this? And he goes, I mean, let me look. You know, he has his attorney friends, and, you know, and next thing you know, he goes, yeah, like you could say that the chair was like it was supposed to break. So essentially, it had a flaw within the way it was made, which caused me to, like, potentially get hurt, and which caused me to have problems, like, in terms of it was defective. It was a defective chair. That was, and so we went with that, and then next thing you know, they're like, and we got a settlement out of it. I was like, holy shit, who would have thought it? Like, I was like, listen, I can't say too much about, like, the numbers or anything like that. I can say a little bit about this. I'm going to word this very carefully. I will say this. If it had not gone our way, I could almost see, like, the other side of things. You know what I mean? And you know what I mean? Like, right? Like, if that things hadn't gone our way, I'm like, okay, you know. Like, but you know, it worked out well. And, you know, like, that was pretty damn cool, man. And, like, and, you know, like, yeah, I had a little bruise here and there, but the chair, in all like, fairness, the chair, like, breaking that way, I'm 651 pounds, but I'm 165 pounds. If somebody who is sitting there,
I thought you was 700.
Like, I lost weight. I've been on a keto diet. Fair enough. So I'm thinking, like, okay, like, I could see that because somebody who's a little heavier sits on this thing and it's defective, they can get hurt. So I just kind of, like, equivocated to that. I'm like, all right, it's all fair. We're all good.
By the way, just gotta get this quick little plug in. You're from Ozone Park, Cross Bay Boulevard. There's a law office that bears my actual name. Won't say what it is. If you ever need a lawyer, yeah, you never need a lawyer that's not in gimmick. Call him. I'm not related to him in any way, shape, or form. We just share a name, but be from Ozone Park and Cross Bay Boulevard, around that area, people always just say, "Oh, hey, you know, you have a law office?" Like, yes, I do.
There you go.
Yeah, I got a question. It's more of a legacy question, because I think everyone, when people do wrestling, a lot of people feel like that they're doing it for themselves or to get themselves over or make some cash. But based from you, I feel like it's more of a, like you said, doing the best that you can and making a positive impact in the world. And the reason I tie this into it is because I know, like, people, I know you lost your mom, and I don't want to go, like, too deep, but more so it's more about the sense of not only wrestling for yourself, but making the legacy of family and the legacy of how can I put it? Basically, being bigger than yourself. And do you feel like when you're wrestling, do you feel that it is indeed bigger than yourself? Hence why I see that you do your best to promote like your Uncle Ref and your brothers and Steve Dunmeg and so on and so forth. So I kind of get that vibe from you. If you could elaborate on it, that would be appreciative.
Definitely. I think, and okay, so just to clarify some confusion, I had a legitimate uncle who was a referee in the late 80s for these like smaller independents. But my uncle, Ref Stephen Dumang, that's my actual brother. Not a lot of people know that, but it's just like
Uncle Bevan.
Uncle Bevan. Yeah, Uncle Bevan. There you go. Yeah. So it's weird because we don't look a lot alike, and people are like, oh, like it's just personality-wise, we're nothing alike. But that's actually my legitimate brother, and he's a referee for Ring of Honor, Beyond Wrestling. I mean, he's done so much, and I'm so proud of him. So, like, to me, like, I feel at comfort with myself as, like, I remember Booker T did this. We did a seminar with Booker T, and he had asked us, like, what do you want to get from this? What do you want to, like, do you want to get signed in Japan, WWE, NXT? And I said to him, and he must have been like, you fool. Like, like, he must have like, sorry, that's a terrible fucking response. But I really felt it.
Well, let's see what the response is, and then we'll do.
But the response I had for him is like, I just need to leave a legacy behind. Like, I need to be able to leave something behind that my family, that my friends, that everyone could be like, look back, and when some, dead and buried, they can be like, this can bring joy to me, whether it's me, like, with the freaking barbell, shooting vignettes in Times Square, or having a wrestling match with Anthony Gangone. Like, I just want to leave that legacy, because if you do this long enough and you do it at a rate that, people can respect and enjoy your stuff, like, yes, do I want to get signed? Absolutely. I'd be a fucking idiot not to do that. Like, I'd want to get signed to one of the big companies, because that's going to just give me the opportunity, yes, to obviously make that full-time living doing this, but also, and provide for my family, but also like leave a bigger legacy. But that's what it is, because you can't take that money with you anywhere. You can't, like, I luckily have put enough money where, if God forbid I drop dead tomorrow, my family, people would be taken care of, but at the same time, like, you realize some point in life, like, it's all about creating memories, man, for everybody, yourself, for your friends, for your family, for your fans. Like, if you can, and that's why I understand why, like, Vince McMahon and WWE are so big on creating moments, and why Ring of Honor, I did a camp with them a few years back. Like, creating moments is such a big thing, because people remember that about you. They'll remember how you made them feel, and I know, listen, Booker must have been like, this dude is really a sucker. Like, like, you got to get your bag, you know what I mean? Like, and listen, exactly. Like, who am I to ever, like, disagree with a guy who's done as much as Booker T has? The man's a legend. But I'm just saying, like, I didn't want to give him the same, oh, yeah, dude, I want to get signed to WWE, and, 10 years, I want to star in movies. Like, I would assume that if you're training with a guy like Booker T, who's done it all and is a fucking amazing, one of the greats, that you, definitely want to do something along those lines at some point in your career. But I felt like, leaving behind a legacy and being like, yo, that dude was so awesome. I wish I got to see him live, or I miss seeing him live, all that jazz, like, that's what I stick to my head. And that's why I love doing the vignettes. That's why I love the deal with the barbell. People are like, oh, like, it's so over the top, but I have to be. I'm Colossal, dude. Like, I never, in my mind, I always put in my head, like, I always felt I was 6'7". I always walked around like I was this big motherfucker, because I had a Napoleon complex. I ain't gonna lie to you guys. Like, I just always felt I was this larger dude, and sometimes, I would walk around and people probably didn't like that, because, I walk out with my chest up and my shoulders out and just having pride in myself. And I guess sometimes people don't get either intimidated or don't like that, but that's all good. Like, I don't do it for them. I do it for me, and I do it for the people who support me.
And me being the smart ass that I was, I am, I would have gone up to Booker T and said, if he asked me that question, I would have been like, I want to be the next GI Bro.
Yeah, I don't think he would. I do not think.
And then,
I don't think he would have appreciated that. I'll be quite honest. Maybe we hold off on GI Bro for a little bit.
I think the first thing he would have probably said, I think initially he probably just said, "Tell me to say that." But I think deep down, I think that he would think that too, because he's a legacy type of person, especially, coming from the cut of cloth that he came from. So I think deep down he would agree with you. Probably thought that was the smartest answer. I personally think that was the smartest answer.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that, man. Like,
yeah.
Now, you've done some intergender wrestling as well. And
Right.
you were trained in a very different era of pro wrestling, where maybe wrestling a woman was kind of frowned upon or taboo at that time. Was
Right.
there a learning curve to, going from what you've always been taught from, when you started to kind of coming up to where we are now with intergender wrestling?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like, here's the thing. Like, the women that I've, gotten in the ring with, I have so much respect for, because I think I can name whether it was Thunder Rosa or Raylan or Nikki Adams, Davian. Not only, Davian, by the way, who her and I have the second highest Limitless viewings of a match in Limitless wrestling history. Thank you very much. I think it's like 32 million, something like that. I told Davian last time I saw her, I go, we're practically household names. So I'll say this about them. They were all talented. They were all so fucking uber tough, man. Like, they were just, like, I didn't feel a difference in my mind. You know what I mean? Like, to me, I was like, I could bring it to them the way I would bring it to anybody else and protect myself, protect them, but also be able to, give the fans something that they would enjoy and believe in. You know what I mean? Like, I think if you look at those matches, there wasn't something so unbelievable just based on the psychology that you'd be like, coming up where I came from, I was so nervous to ever get in the ring with a girl. Back when I was like started training, like, they were like, I could count on one hand the amount of girls that would come train. And I just remember thinking, like, man, some of these guys are so fucked up. You know what I mean? Like, they were just so weird, like, they were just like making comments and just weird shit that I was never like. My mom taught me right. My mom and dad, I'll say, my parents just raised me right. Just be respectful of people, whether guy or girl. And I would just hear some of the comments these dudes would say, and just it was disgusting. You know what I mean? Like,
what?
Like, it's really inappropriate for that time. But it was the Wild West back in the early 2000s, and so, we didn't have social media. And I think that's one of the things that I'm glad has changed, I never got in the ring with any girls when I was training, not because, one, I wasn't fully trained yet, so I didn't want to hurt anybody, and then two, it was unless you were the trainer, you weren't getting in with it. I wasn't, I wasn't a trainer for anybody, so I just didn't. There wasn't a comfort level at that point to get in the ring. At this point, I've been doing this for so long that you put me in with anybody, I'll be able to deliver. And I just, again, I'm grateful that the female talent that I've been in the ring with, just tough as nails, and they brought it as good, if not better, than some of the boys. I'll give it Thunder fucking Rosa, to me, is one of the best. I just, like, I think she lays it in. I love that shit. Like just guy, girl, whatever, wolf. I don't, like turtle. Fucking Optimus Prime. I don't care. I get in there, baby. Right. Let's just get at this shit, man. Let's go in there and work. Right. So I'm a big fan of hers. Ray Lynn, also who, like this also very, very tough, man. Highly underrated as far as the toughness level. And, should be somewhere, signed somewhere. I never wrestled Holodead, but I always liked her. Big Bang, Ronnie Nicole, love Big Bang. I see her and she hits fucking hard, so that always, puts a little smile on my face. Davian, again, just insanely tough and just so, like, here's the misconception that I think people have about guys who came up in the early 2000s. Like that we're not looking to evolve with the business, or that, we're not looking to, no, here's my take. This is my personal take. I'm not speaking on anyone's behalf. If you bust your ass and you work and you put your best foot forward and aren't playing the fucking game that I've seen for 20 years now, and I know what the game, and if you've been in this business, you know what the game is. I'll always give you props. Again, guy, girl, whatever. I Like, I will always give you props. But when people take bullshit, the big thing now is like getting clout online. It's just like, come on, dude, let your work speak for itself. Let the work speak for itself. Like, if you're as good as you claim to be, I see people just do stuff, and it's just. The mute button on Twitter is the best fucking button to ever exist. I mean, it is amazing. It does wonders. I love that thing. I don't block people unless somebody really gets to the point. Like, I've only blocked 2 people, and one of them's a rib. Chris Statlander, you unblock me, I'll block you back, sis. How about that?
Chris Statlander. Oh,
All right.
We got to call out.
Nah, and listen, and talk about someone else who's busted. Like, that girl has busted her ass, man, and deserves, all things aside, deserves all the success, man. I
Absolutely
can't wait till she comes back. She's gonna light up AEW once again.
Now, you were the masculine Marvel, well-mannered. Now you're Colossal. Can you tell us why this version and the Colossal persona has worked for you so very well?
The Colossal Mike Law definitely worked more for me than anything, because it really, like I said before, is who I in my mind have always envisioned myself. I remember when I was playing like football and I was younger in grade school, and I was I was 5'1", barely. I was like barely 5 feet. I was practically a dwarf. And, I was probably 90 pounds, and it took 4 people to take me down. And I always remember saying to myself, like, and I've never claimed to be the toughest dude, but I always said to myself, like, I just was persistent, man. And I was always hungry, and I always wanted to prove myself against everybody, and I would always, probably not something I would do these days, but, I would purposely get into fights with bigger kids in school. I would, start fights with some of the bigger kids, because I had this thing where I just wanted to prove to everybody that I was tougher than the kid that was like 200 pounds and, was already like 6 feet. I was ready like to throw down with anybody. I've calmed down since then. So yeah, I'm not randomly just challenging people to fights. But I think the Colossal like moniker, persona, who I really in my heart and mind believe who I am. So I don't really consider it like a gimmick, because people are like, oh, it's a great gimmick. No, it's like, it's who I am. It's
right.
It's you know what I mean? Like, it's not physically, the physical stats aren't what they are, but it's who I in my mind envision who I am and what I present to people, and it's a larger than life personality. And I like the masculine Marvel. I don't know if I can get away with that these days. Whatever. But it was fun, man.
You could.
No, dude, I literally came up with that moniker at like, I was going out for a match and we had to change because I was with two other guys in the stable, and they wanted to change the gimmick altogether. It went from something completely stupid to something even dumber. And so I was like, they're like, well, you guys are doing a bodybuilding gimmick. And I was nowhere near. Like, these guys were insane. Jason Static had fucking veins in his ears. That's how freaking jacked this dude had. Like, he had veins popping out of his earlobes. That's how, you know what I mean?
Earlobes.
Joe Delicious, bless his soul. Like, those guys, I was in between, but it was funny because I'm this small, like tiny dude, and these guys are massive. So that was the gimmick. And the guys, like, the announcer, like, well, what's your name? And I go, Masculine Marvel. I just something kind of like literally as I'm going out, Masculine Marvel, and then we went with that, and then I enjoyed it. I mean, I kid. Obviously, you can't do that today. Like, it doesn't. You can do anything within the context of what we do because that's the art of what we do. That's like what we do. I consider a sport as a athlete because we train like athletes. We're supposed to eat like athletes. We warm up like athletes. We're supposed to stretch. We're supposed to train so that way we don't kill ourselves or kill others. But the entertainment aspect is where we can kind of work with the boundaries of, like, will this make sense for this person or, with this crowd,
Right. And that's kind of why I phrased it persona rather than, gimmick, because it's not technically a gimmick. It is who you are. It's the persona that's you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I would consider the barbell the gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, I would say, like, you know what I mean? Like, the barbell, and by the way, you can follow the barbell at the real barbell, Barbie the barbell, on Twitter and Instagram.
Damn right, the barbell.
The barbell has her own Instagram and Twitter account, by the way.
Well, since you brought it up, why don't you tell us about Barbie the barbell? Her Twitter account says she's 2,000 pounds of twisted sex appeal, your boyfriend's side chick, for booking inquiries, just DM, no creepers. Unfortunately, her DMs are not open. What the hell?
Yeah. She, and it's funny because I just came across her literally like one day, like, we were just thinking, like, what can we do to, like, and I give all the credit to my brother, Uncle Ref Steven. We just needed something to kind of spice up the look, you know what I mean? Like, not so much from a physical standpoint, but like more the idea, like, okay, what's going to get people to look through the curtain when this person comes out? And, like, we just thought this, like, ginormous barbell. And, I'm not going to name my friend, but my female friend who runs both those IGs, she keeps things tasteful. So I give her credit. The no creeper thing was her idea. So I was like, okay, I can get that. Because she's a fairly attractive lady, girl, I should say, a lady. But she got that when she said that, it popped me because I go, that does sound like something you would say, like.
Yeah, no creepers is life.
Yeah, no creepers, because she gets a lot of creepers. There you go.
Scooter, you had a question?
Yeah, we're gonna maybe bring just a little bit down, but in remembrance. Recently, the indie wrestling world lost DK Meadows.
Mm-hmm.
And you had a match with him in June of 2019. Can you tell us a little bit about that and speak to the type of guy he was?
No, of course, man. And it just happened so sudden, man. And, I know people go through depression and stuff like that. I say to myself, like, man, life is so precious. Like, every day that we get up is an accomplishment. And, poor DK, I don't know unfortunately the situation of his passing, but he was so eager to learn, you know what I mean? He was so, like, I could tell, like, he had that passion to do this, you know what I mean? Like, he just had, being around the business as long as I have, when someone's just trying to bullshit their way through things, like, they're just trying to, like, find the easiest possible path to get to where they need to get to. And listen, that to each their own. I can't hate on it, but DK to me was a guy who not only was very humble but very passionate about the learning process, about doing this. Like we had a match. He shot a knee that, like, if you look at the knee that he gave me from that, it was fucking accurate. Is all I'm gonna say. Like, just so accurate. But then afterwards, he was so like, what could I do better? Like all the cool, the things that, some people are just too cool to like ask. And and I appreciate that. To me, I was like, and I think Azrael was seconding me that night. So, he asked both of us, and it was really cool. And it was very refreshing to me to see somebody who was doing this and is trying to get better and trying to ask the right questions. And it's fucking sad, dude. Like I hadn't seen DK in a while, but just knowing that a life like that, so young and so full of potential and so many memories to be made, was cut short. And I send my love out to his family, his friends, and his acquaintances, and anybody who came in contact with him. He got a great a head on his shoulder, I should say.
Kalika, you have a question?
Try to get on a more lighter note.
I mean, listen, I'm glad it was addressed because he was good people, and I appreciate it.
I'm glad you even took time to do it, man. I mean, it just shows the type of person he was. But the polar bear plunge.
Oh, that was
fun. I want to know, how did that feel? Because I know I've been to New York one time and I knew it was mad brick as hell out there. And I'm like, ain't no way in hell.
Right. So the polar bear plunge, that was done. I did that a few years ago. It was after Hurricane Sandy, and it was to raise funds for the American Cancer Society. I definitely want to do it again. I think, I don't know if it was done this past year because of COVID, but I will say this. My whole body felt good. Dude, I ran in there and it hit me. I was in shorts. I didn't drink up. I will tell you, a lot of people on that beach were inebriated upon hitting that water. Kind of soften the blow, right? But I was there. I was just determined, and I hit the water, and everything felt good. The only thing I'll tell you right now was my feet. I felt like I had stepped on 1,000 fucking like nails. They were brutal. It was like stepping on nails. Like my feet were just completely like, and it was that my feet were the only thing that I would say like suffered. But I got out. We were in there for a little bit, and then the news, I think 10 or 12 news, like, oh, can you go in there again because we want to catch the story. And me being an attention whore, I go, well, sure, why not? And I ran in again like a good soldier, and they took that. I don't even know if I appeared. I think they were ribbing me. And the worst thing was that the worst thing was that my dad had my dry clothes, so it was packed. A lot of people. It was after Sandy, and I think a lot of people took it as an opportunity to kind of unite, for whatever it's worth. And he took all my dry clothes. So I'm here walking the streets of Long Beach, Long Island to my car, and from head to toe, other than my shirt was dry and my hat, but my pants were completely soaked. I was in shorts, and my socks were obviously soaked, and my sneakers, and it was freezing that day. I remember it was like literally right after Sandy, and there was no boardwalk at that point, or at least it was part of it. And but I would do it again. It was so awesome.
Damn, man. Oh, I could just. Oh, that reminded me of like some boot camp shit where they had us doing stupid stuff. And I'm like, damn, all that.
It's an experience.
Cool.
Nico.
Now here on
you can fit.
Now here on Wrestling with Entertainment, we always ask. We're all nerdy about something. So what is something you're very nerdy about?
Naughty about?
No, nerdy. Nord.
Nerdy.
Nord.
Nerdy.
I go, naughty. I go,
For example,
I go, are we really doing this now? I go, I don't know.
And for the
no,
audience visual, got
I was like, I go,
comic book.
I got my
It's
Marvel,
gonna be
my Marvel almanac right here. So,
no, I see. No, so nerdy. Wow. I mean, I used to collect comic books. I think we all at one point or another. I'm just trying to think of anything like, and like it's all obviously now it's so acceptable. So it's like, like back in our day, right? It wouldn't be considered, you're a nerd. You collect comic books.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still have stacks of them. I don't know. Something nerdy. I don't know. That's a good question, man. You got me stumped. The whole time, I'm like answering questions. I'm like, boom, boom, boom on all cylinders, and now I'm like stuck. I'm like, I mean, I guess I like to read. You know what I mean? I like to. I mean, I don't know if it's nerded, but I like to read about investments and stuff and like cryptocurrency,
All right.
and real estate like I'm a, I don't ever. And with all due respect to the guys who came before us, I don't ever want to be one of those guys that I look at it, I know it's controversial, but like Jimmy Snuka, for example, I don't ever want to be in a situation where I don't know if he had to wrestle to make ends meet. I don't know. But a guy his age wrestling, I always felt like, especially toward the latter part of his years when his physical health wasn't doing well, I go, it has to be because he has to. I don't know why you would, if you physically can't do this, I don't know why you would. And not do something within the capacity of wrestling, but without being in the ring. You know what I mean? And maybe, I don't know if he's an example, or I've seen people who you're like, geez, dude, I want to be able to leave this game or at least take part in outside the ring, but be financially set. You know what I mean? So I'm a big proponent of, just constantly reading stuff about finances and
Financial literacy.
Yeah.
There you go. Financial literacy. I don't think you could get any nerdier than that, but there you go.
Hey, trust me, I be reading it all the time, man. So I feel it. I feel you on that one, man. Especially with stocks and S&P 500s and da-da-da.
This is one of our more controversial questions. Pineapple on pizza. What's your stance?
Pineapple on pizza?
Yes.
Yep.
I suppose if you worship Satan, I don't. What?
Wow,
sir, that is that's gonna be the soundbite that gets me canceled. And no, listen. In all fairness, I don't care. Listen, if you like, I don't like it. I'm not a big fan of pineapple on pizza. I love pineapple on its own. I like pineapple pie, like pineapple cheesecake, stuff like that. If you decide that you want pineapple on your pizza, you and I can't be friends, but I give you all the right. You can do whatever you want. We may have to throw down, but but not. In all fairness, man, all kidding aside, of course, I don't care. I'm a big I like pepperoni and mushrooms, and onions. But pineapple on pizza, not my thing. But if it's your thing, God bless you.
Okay then. That has been one of our more passionate answers.
Worship Satan. I like that.
Scooter,
I rebuke.
You have maybe one last question before we start wrapping things up?
You competed for ECWA. Just give us a brief summary of how it felt to compete in the Super 8 tournament.
Damn, that's a good question. I would say it was just, to me, something coming full circle. I remember that night. I know a lot of people doubted me, and I think I still know that people doubt me. But I remember that I drew Chase Owens, I think, from the Bullet Club as my first. Which I was like, oh, this is fucking great. This is I was thinking, give me somebody who I can kind of warm up with, and then go after the big dog. But no, let's just throw him in against Chase Owens. Let's see what he can do. Which I was like, listen, I welcome all that shit, dude. I will face anybody. I'll get in the ring with anybody. I'm not like I will test myself with anybody. Like I put all my reputation on it, dude. I bust my ass and I work hard. But with that being said, once Chase Owens pinned me, and I don't think you see it on tape or anything, but I burst out crying. And it wasn't because like I was hurt or anything, but because I remember, the year before that, my manager at the time, AJ Pan, who's actually one of my best friends, his mom was at the Super 8. And I was initially, I was in the Super 8 for 2017, but then, some political bullshit. I'm not going to get too detailed to it, but some political bullshit happened, and I was taken off last second, and she was there for that. She had passed away at that point by the second time, by the time I was in 2018 Super 8. And I knew she would be proud. The other guy was my very good friend, Brandon Kaplan, Spiral BKNY. He had died the same year, I believe. And him and I would always talk about how he would be in the best of the best, and I was going to be in the Super 8, way back when Kettner was still the owner. And then, just those two popped into my head as soon as that match was over, because more important than, doing it for myself, I felt like I had done that for them because I knew that they were watching. And, that to me was very emotional time. And it was kind of like when I did that match, when I wrestled for Ring of Honor in Philly that one time, and it was on TV, and my brother was the referee. I had to disown him because he counted to the 3 on me on that one. But that to me was like kind of the same idea with it kind of to me is like, okay, this long ass journey, and it's been a bumpy road, was so worth it. You know what I mean? Like anytime that have like this kind of momentous situation like the Super 8 or Ring of Honor, like or debuting in Canada or debuting in Dominican Republic or anything like that, it marks these chapters in my journey in pro wrestling that makes you like, yo, like through all these tears, through sleeping in the car, because we've all done it, through shitty paydays, to great paydays, to shitty promoters, to the awesome promoters, and I'll say that the promoters these last few years have been awesome, like way cooler, way better with everything and way more professional these last few years. But it just, it kind of just lends itself to, for me as far as being able to just justify everything, I guess.
Awesome. And Kalika, you have maybe one last question as well?
Actually, I got a couple of questions. It's
all right.
So I'm a big music dude. That's I'm kind of nerdy and everything, but I'm a music dude. So
I
the
love
first
music.
question,
I love jazz. Jazz is my go-to.
Oh my God, people don't. Jazz is like
the wrestler jazz.
The unsung hero. It's the unsung hero of music, man. It is literally the unsung hero of music. Like so many hip hop artists have sampled jazz, like Jay Dilla's, all that, but I could go on at that. But
that's a conversation for another day for you and I.
I know. So your wrestling career soundtrack, 3 songs that would encapsulate your wrestling career.
That's good, dude. I would say Money Talk. I don't know why, but I always thought Money Talk from AC/DC was always a big one. What else? Probably on my playlist. It's like my workout playlist. You know what I mean? Like you have your like little playlist for like workouts. So damn, that's a good question. That's a good question, dude. And I'm like a big jazz guy when it comes to like just overall music. Like I just love jazz. Oh God, that's a good fucking question, dude. Why would you do me like that? Why would you put this is like the last one.
Oh, he muted us.
There
we
guys?
go.
Yes. Can you hear us?
Yeah.
Okay, we're good, right?
Yeah.
We're good.
Yeah.
There we
Okay,
go.
okay,
So,
sorry.
so we got Money talks about AC/DC.
God, you know what's gonna suck is I'm gonna re-listen to this whole thing and I'm like, why did I choose those? Terrible, stupid.
Well, you can always come back on and reiterate your song. You can update your
I know.
playlist.
Update the playlist.
You're killing me here, man. This is good. This is good shit. This is like a good. It's like I'll be honest. I've never been asked this question. So it's like, and like I'm a music. I love music. Like I love, like I have the most eclectic music taste because I'll be listening to like Tina Turner, Simply the Best, and then next thing you know, I'm listening to fucking, Self-Esteem by Offspring. Like I don't know. Like,
I feel you. I'll go from Leanne Rhymes to Tupac just like that. Like
right. If I'm in the mood for something, you would think like if I were to show you my regular like playlist, you would think like this guy is a fucking sociopath. There may be something wrong with him. Like he's like, and it's just he has such different music taste.
Oh no, we're all there. We all got that word playlist.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Like that's kept in the back. You're like, okay, no one. Damn, dude. Saint Anger. I've always thought Metallica was Saint Anger. I did.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I experienced like very, like I think not now because the happiest I've been in like in every which way, But there were times where I was like angry and people like I would never let it get out, but I think people could tell from my demeanor that I wasn't exactly happy. Like not like depressed, not depressed. No, I was never like I wasn't depressed, but like I was like, I don't know,
Pissed in your cornflakes type shit.
Right? Yeah, I'm taking a swing on somebody. But anyway, I would say that's in anger. How about Tom Petty? I Won't Back Down.
Oh
Right.
yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There we go.
Can we switch? I don't know if money talk is really where I want to end my my third one. That's like a feel good song. You kind of use that to kind of motivate myself sometimes.
You're locked in now.
I was, I'm locked in. All right.
Subject to change. No, subject to change. I want to see what he would change it for.
Yeah, what did you change?
So Tom Petty, I Won't Back Down, definitely in, and then we'll talk about Saint Anger from Metallica. Now you got the pressures on me because now I'm thinking like, what could possibly replace? Right. Okay. This is not. So it's a classic from Frank Sinatra, but Sid Vicious always did it in a way that I like it, my way. So I'm gonna go with my way. And I'm sure it's like that's like a stereotypical like, oh, why wouldn't you use that one? But I always like Sid Vicious's version of that one, and I'm gonna go with that one over Money Talk.
All right.
I could dig it. You
Is
feel like
that
you do
your
it your way.
final answer?
Those are
You know
his
what?
final answers.
I'm gonna go with that. I'm gonna go with that.
See,
Okay,
there he
fair
goes. See, and then the final question is, why is Zach Morris trash?
That's oh my god! Do you guys like see that tweet? I go, he really is fucking trash. What a scumbag! I was like, this guy's an asshole. Why would anybody want to befriend this guy? Because he knowingly threw people under the bus and ran them over at their expense, so that way he could be like seen as successful. I don't know. I every little ploy that guy had made me believe that he didn't give a fuck about anybody other than himself. And I go, if that's not a sign of a sociopath, I don't know what to tell you.
Plus, his
9-year-old us were like, he's cool.
No, plus his uncanny ability to freeze time. He did weird things when he went timeout.
I wouldn't think that. To me, I was like, he tried to hook up with every. That's another thing too. He tried to hook up with every girl. What the fuck? Like, control yourself, Morris. Like Kelly Kapowski, Rory. I forgot her last name.
Tori.
Sorry, Rory.
She didn't have a last name actually.
Tori, you're right. She didn't. the girl from the beach club. Do you remember her?
Stacey Rosie.
Stacy.
Yep.
He even tried to hook up with Lisa.
Yes. That was your best friend's like main crush. And you trying to hook up with her? What kind of scumbaggery? You're Zach Morris. You're a bastard.
There we go. See, that's what I want to hear. See, that is.
Here we go. And it is once again time for that segment. Mike Law's Bizarre Adventure. You're a pro wrestler that goes up and down the roads, and where crazy and bizarre things are bound to happen. Can you maybe tell us a story that fits that description?
James, you might have to redo that.
Yeah, I think I missed the question in its entirety. My apologies.
What is a bizarre adventure that you've had that, going up and down
Involved the road.
A bizarre road story?
A bizarre road story. Okay, I was in the car with Wes Draven, Sam Shields, and this guy Boris Naboka, and I was sick as hell. I don't even know why I took this trip. It was not worth the hefty $10 payday. I'm in the car and I'm knocked out. Like, it's in my car. I had a Toyota Camry, and I'm laid out. And we're going I know we're going on Route 80 because I'm overhearing them. I'm not opening my eyes because I'm too sick. For whatever reason, I hear Sam Shields tell Boris Naboka, "Hey, Mike's not gonna like that you're doing that." This fucking clown, because he missed the exit, decided to back up all the way on Route 80 to the previous exit to get out, because he didn't want to go the extra 20 miles to go
to the next exit.
And so he fucking floored it and backed up while I was like half conscious. And I'm like, I'm saying, why is Sam Shields saying that I wouldn't like this? Like, I didn't know what they were doing. And meanwhile, I didn't realize until much later that he had driven backwards on Route 80 to get off in the exit that we were supposed to get off because he missed it.
Oh, man.
That is a very good story.
That's crazy.
I'll tell you, that's the first time it's been very hard for me to like, I do a lot of these podcasts. I enjoy talking wrestling. I love, I love to like just, I love doing these podcasts. They're fun. I don't think I've ever told that story. So there you go. That's an exclusive.
Exclusive.
Yes.
See, between that and Jazz, I'll take it. That and Jazz, I'll take it.
Now,
Awesome.
On a more serious note, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Where do I see myself in 5 years? If I'm not, by the grace of God, doing this, and I'm healthy, which I certainly envision myself being, I would love to step back and do more agenting. I would love to do more booking and writing in terms of the wrestling industry. I think in my mind, I have it set that I will eventually run a company again, an independent. It's always been in the back of my mind. I can't say when it's going to happen exactly, but I always envision myself saying that I would eventually open up a training center of some sort and use that as a platform for an independent promotion.
All right. And what is a match that people should go out of their way that best shows off what Mike Law is all about?
I love my matches with Anthony Gangone and Matt McIntosh from Catalyst Wrestling. I like the ECWA match with Chase Owens from the 2018 Super 8. That was fun. I'm sure there's more I'm forgetting. Plenty. I didn't wrestle Darius Carter one-on-one, but Darius Carter and O'Shea Edwards against myself and Killian McMurphy was very good. Highly underrated. That was from Catalyst Wrestling as well. Let's see. Those right off the bat. I'm not going to spoil anything because I'm not really allowed to say. But if you follow New Fear City, Azrael myself just had a freaking utmost respect to that fucking guy because we killed each other, and that to me. It's one of those things where I hope the match translates on video the way it translated live, because you could have put that on any company, TV, whatever, and I think people would have enjoyed it. And once it does get released, I think people are really going to be in for a treat with that. I don't know when they're releasing it either, but myself versus Steve Pena from Limitless Wrestling, I think that's coming out hopefully soon. That itself was also another fantastic match. Also had a match with Ghost Shadow. Like, that's what I'm saying. My best stuff is coming. Like people I never feel like I'm ever satisfied. So I think there's going to be so much good stuff coming in this year on my behalf, on many companies' behalf. But I'm very excited. So I know that, those few matches, Gangone for sure, definitely go out of the way to see that one. I know I'm going to end up forgetting people, and I'll probably get a text or a DM saying, "Yo, you forgot about me, you asshole." Logan Black, I wrestled him. That was was a match. Yeah, that's a match that probably should have gone viral because that's where I did a somersault plancha onto nothing. And it didn't, I guess I didn't get that many views, but whatever.
Hey, you still have the most highest rated match in the Limitless Wrestling history.
Second. I don't know who the first is though. I'll be honest. I just somebody pointed it out to us or to me on Twitter, and I was like, oh, that's cool. And then I looked, I go, dude, 28 million views or whatever it is. I go, not too shabby.
I believe that honor may belong to Katie Arquette.
Okay.
I'm not sure. Don't hold me to that.
I wouldn't be remiss to think that it wasn't, because I'm sure she, has an audience and, fans of her own. So that makes sense. Who else? Jimmy Rave too. There's so many good talents out there I want to wrestle though, man. Like, I look at guys like Ken Broadway, I like the House of Glory students, always impressed me. Smiley, there's so many people that I'd love to get in the ring with. But again, I'm not gonna. I'll just go in there and do my thing. I'm not gonna be in there like trying to. If promoters want to like make it happen, we'll make it happen.
And before we get into the last segment, I will like to say that you possibly tied Masha Slamovic for most F-bombs dropped in one episode in one interview.
You want to know? That's another thing. You want to know what's so funny? I don't curse. I really don't. I don't know why. I don't know why tonight I felt the need. You got me on a good night. I don't. And I've been in the car with I've been in the car with Masha Slamovich, and I'll tell you, like, my ears bleed when that young lady speaks sometimes. I go, God. I thought I dig her, man. She's another one. I've never been in the ring with her, but she's tough as hell, man. And I like her because she works hard for hers, and I could only see big things for her. But yeah, I've been in a car. We've been in car rides together. I like my virgin ears.
She was okay. Like, we went a long stretch without like a curse word, and then when we asked her the pineapple on pizza question, it was F-bomb after F-bomb, and like I feel like we definitely wound her up after that because it was just nonstop cursing.
See, that's why I'm glad I came with fucking jazz, yo.
Oh yeah. Jazz is classical. We're always gonna treat it as such. No, I don't. It's funny. I do these podcasts. I don't ever really curse, but I said to myself, in this year, I really want to start like not so much like. And I don't like ever like curse up a storm like this, but I just wanted people to kind of see a little bit more about who I am, what I've done. Some stories of fun, like the stuff that I can remember, like some clown driving backwards on Route 80, 70 miles an hour without me knowing, like, probably is one of those. So, I enjoy it, man, and I hope to, like, have more stories, for people to enjoy.
And we are nearing the conclusion of this interview. So we are wrestling with the 8 questions of doom.
No, actually, Doom's being cursed.
The music one was already tough. Don't make me work.
This is a speed round, or bonus round, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to list off 8 questions, and you answer them however you see fit. Are you ready, Mike Law?
I am ready. Let's get it.
Excluding yourself, greatest wrestler of all time.
Eddie Guerrero.
Worst wrestler of all time.
Worst. Shit. Steve Mongo McMichael. I'm sorry. Sorry, that was a tough one. I mean, it wasn't tough to say, but
No,
you
that's
feel
our
bad.
That's okay.
You nailed our consensus. That's the consensus.
It was because he was a guy that was on a national stage. There have been worse wrestlers than him, but nobody had the push that Steve McMichael had. WCW, Four Horsemen. Like, he should have been a lot better considering who he was around. You know what I mean? Like, it's not it's not a knock on him personally. It's just like there actually are way worse wrestlers than him, if you can imagine. He just had a bigger stage.
You're main eventing WrestleMania for the World Championship. Who is your opponent?
Shit. Does it have to be current or
Anybody you want to do it.
You know what? I want to say Daniel Bryan.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Ah, nice.
If you could come out to anyone's entrance music, past or present, who would it be?
God dang. I always felt like Steve Austin's theme was way too kick ass. It was like Stone Cold Steve Austin. It has to be.
Hell yeah. Finish the sentence. Kayfabe is.
Like the Mafia Code of Honor. Like, it's just, it's our thing.
Alright. Squash. Fruit or vegetable?
I remember reading that I think it's a vegetable. I'm gonna go with vegetable.
Thank you. See, I told y'all, man.
It may be a fruit. It may be one of those that like they, but
it
I'm
may
gonna go
be with... They say it's a fruit, but damn it, it ain't in fruit salads.
It technically is a fruit.
I remember reading that. That's how I was gonna go, but I was like, I don't know if that was another vegetable that they misaligned. Anyway, go ahead.
Well, you may have gotten the question wrong, but you're in good graces with Coleco Yachts, which it means a hell of a lot more. You officially
because ain't nobody out here yelling out squash juice. Like, that shit ain't in Jamba Juice.
You are officially a member of Squash Squad. Congratulations. New Japan wrestler Taichi, his ring gear gets smaller every year, revealing more of himself to the world. My question, what is the appropriate trunks to butt cheek ratio for ring gear?
I used to get so fucking annoyed when Ahmed Johnson, Ahmed Johnson's ass cheek would be popping out. I'd be like, somebody fix that, please. I don't think there's a ratio that's necessary. Like, I've had that happen to me once. I wear trunks sporadically. Like, I kind of got rid of all of them, but like, I had like 1 or 2 like that I used in the summer or hot buildings. Dude, you feel it. Like you feel when there's a breeze there. Just pull the things back down and cover your ass cheeks, guys. Come on now. Let's not get crazy. We all any one of us who've had trunks or whatever, and you feel the breeze. Just adjust the fucking thing. Come on now.
And the last question, the main event, the thing everybody wants to know. Have you ever had a conversation with a stranger in a supermarket about Darby Allin?
Have I ever had a conversation with anybody in the supermarket about Darby Allin?
Yes.
Yes.
Negative.
And that is the correct answer.
Yeah, don't be like me.
Yeah, I never crossed my mind.
Don't be like me.
That will conclude this interview. Thank you so much, Mike, for coming on and talking with us. And once again, where can we find you on social media and all that good stuff?
Yeah, you guys can find me. You guys can find me on Colossal Mike Law on Instagram and Twitter. Same thing across the board. Same thing with the barbell. You can catch it at Barbie the real or the real Barbie the barbell at over on Twitter and Instagram. Yeah, I mean you can find my merchandise on Pro Wrestling T site. Just type in Colossal Mike Law. Same thing with Store Frontier site, which is Colossal Mike Law as well. And you can purchase. And obviously, listen, I appreciate every purchase that everyone makes, whether it's through me directly or through those websites.
And all those links will be in the description of the interview below, but on YouTube and Castbox. You heard him talk for 2 hours. Give him a follow. Buy a damn shirt.
Please, come on now. I'm proud. I mean, that lawsuit the money's not coming in anytime soon. Let's be honest.
Next week on Wrestling with Entertainment interviews, we have Braden Lee. The week after that, we have Armani Chaos. The week after that, Mark Shaw. And until then, you can follow, you could like, subscribe, comment both on YouTube and Castbox. Catch us every Saturday on our preview and review show. And you can follow the show on Twitter as well at Wrestling with E. You can follow us individually. I am at JamesJ993. Where can they find Kaliko?
You can find me counting down the days till another leap year, and I am Kaliko.
And where can they find Scooter?
As always, you could find me under your bed or in your closet. That's a lovely set of pajamas, by the way. And if you want to find me on social media, at ScooterJust on Twitter, and holding it down for the UNB network at UNBS Wrestling.
For a very special guest, Mike Law, Kaliko Yachts, Scooter Dust, I'm James J, and this has been Wrestling with Entertainment.